we got the PlayStation 5, so that's been very fun. Man, the new games and the way they look better than movies, especially movies no more than like 10 years ago. I was watching Spider-Man 3, and I was just looking at Spider-Man swinging. I'm thinking, like, we played that earlier today on that new Miles
Uh-huh.
Morales, and it looks just as good, if not
Yeah.
better, that
I
game than.
played I played because they released so there's like two in that series, and the
Mhm.
first one is just Peter Parker, but Miles
Yes.
Morales is a side character, and you get to
Yes.
play him in a couple missions.
Oh, okay.
And then as a separate game, I wish it was just like a massive like pay same amount of money DLC,
Mhm.
get the Miles Morales one because it's its own game, own storyline. I'm like, so I haven't played the Miles Morales one, but
Okay.
the only reason I played it is because they released it on PC.
I saw that. I
And it's
saw
like,
that.
holy shit, the game's really fucking good. It's
Yeah.
really fucking good. So
Yeah. We're going through it pretty
it's so
quickly.
funny. I remember when I forget which one of the Uncharted games it was. I think it was the third one. Right? Like I just watched the Uncharted movie like, I don't know, last month.
They just
And they
put on
have the
Netflix.
whole yeah, they put in a and it's they have the whole like the airplane with the cargo hanging
Mm-hmm.
out the back and it's directly from the
Yes.
video game.
Yes. Him
And
falling. Yeah.
I remember they were doing some promo, and somehow, I don't know why, I think it was because they got Harrison Ford because he like played Indiana Jones, and the Uncharted
Right.
character is kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
like
A modern.
it's
Yeah.
a modern sort of like we're uncovering
Mm-hmm.
things, but like different. But they got Harrison Ford to play that scene, like play it as a video game.
Oh.
And like he's kind of like fumbling through the controls, but he's just like his comment was like this this is like watching a freaking movie. This is like
Yeah.
he was just blown away by what was capable. And that was like a decade ago. It was like
Yeah.
a PS3.
Right. Right, man.
Oh,
It's incredible, especially that God of War. I'm like, I didn't know where the cutscenes were to the me playing. Like, I'm still watching the cutscene, and
oh,
it's
you
kind of
played
waiting for.
Ragnarok? I hear it's really
Yeah,
good.
and it's just waiting for me to go, and I'm thinking like, and it's so intuitive because usually those kind of games. I've been out the game for a while. The last one I had was a PS3. The only reason why I had PS3 and games I didn't even open yet is because I started having children, and it took all away my
Mm-hmm.
time. I didn't have time, and when you have like
Mm-hmm.
8 different buttons and configurations to remember to play a game, it's not just smash. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't play that for 3 days, be gone for a week, and come back and think I'm gonna do anything. It doesn't work like that. You have to
Yeah,
know
no, no.
those buttons. You gotta be familiar. You gotta know what you're doing. You got some kind of strategy. So I almost kind of, set myself up to only play games like Tekken and Street Fighter because those are just mash the buttons real fast and you don't have to, really do anything else. And so since, the little one, he's starting to really get into the games and stuff, I could really it's really my second time with these games, but also my first time. I really having a chance to really dig in and work out the games with
Mm-hmm.
them and stuff like that. So that's been really, really cool. And to see this next generation of games, it's just like, this is incredible. He's like Miles swinging around New York, and I'm thinking like, I had that Spider-Man that looked like a stick, red,
Uh-huh.
blue, red,
Uh-huh.
blue, red, a gray line that got looked boxy when you swung from left to right, and all you went is up and down and swung left to right, and you went up this blocky building, one building, and people are coming out the windows, little squares popping up through the windows trying to get you as you're trying to climb up the building. And I'm thinking
God,
like,
was this on like Atari or something? That sounds
Atari,
ancient.
Atari, stop
I
it.
I I can
Yes,
say that because I still have my Atari.
Atari,
I've got
Atari.
I've got my Atari. I've got my Nintendo, not Super Nintendo. I got my Nintendo and my Super Nintendo. I got the Power Pad.
Man,
Like I got
uh,
all that stuff. I came across it in the garage the other day. I was like,
yeah, man. You know how much that stuff is worth? I still got mine. I still got my Sega Genesis. I still got all my Super Nintendo, my Nintendo. I got my Atari 2600. I had every system I think except for like the ColecoVision, and I didn't have
I'm
maybe I didn't
still
have
so upset.
Sega CD. I didn't get that one, but all the rest of that stuff I
I
got
didn't
all those, and I kept them all.
I didn't have most of the Sega stuff. Buddy had a Dreamcast that we had at the apartment.
And I
well.
didn't have a Dreamcast.
I
That like a good system. I didn't have that one either. That came later.
so the like one of the games that we had on there was Crazy Taxi, right? Like the arcade
Oh, I
game. They
love
had
that
like the
game. Yeah.
so there's the final stage, which is like a 10-minute long time challenge. Like, and if you fuck up like once, you don't complete it. Like
Mm.
you have a hard time limit. But that stage always starts off with God, it was this like punk rock song, and it always starts off like yeah, 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 and it just goes right into the. But that's how the stage starts. And the thing is, once you know you fuck up, you might as well just restart. So that song would
Yeah.
play over and over again in the apartment as I was trying to beat this fucking stage, and it drove my roommate insane.
That's
Oh,
funny.
geez, poor
That's
Oscar.
that's a great game though. That's a classic game. Matter of fact, I was gonna buy it because they just put it out for the Nintendo Switch, and just for nostalgia reasons. Cause I only played it in the arcade. And it was always so fun. So I figured, I could play it to my heart's desire. That's why I like a lot of those older games they're starting to put on the newer platforms, even though they're
Mm-hmm.
still old, like Outrun and all those different kind of games. They're clunky as hell and the graphics are old or whatever, but something about being able to play those games that you used to have to pay quarters for all those times and you just kept dying, and now you can sit there and just keep playing. So
Right.
so I've been buying up some of those older games and kind of just tripping out on the fact that I could play them with endless lives. So
I'm still kicking myself for selling my Nintendo 64.
you sold it?
I sold it back
Wow.
in college. I think it was junior or senior year. We had one neighbor guy that was just begging me to sell him the N64,
Mhm.
and I had played the shit out of all those games. I
Mhm.
had GoldenEye.
Ooh, that's a classic. People still talk about that game.
There's GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, and I routinely destroyed anyone that played with me.
Wow.
Like destroyed multiple people playing against me 3 versus 1.
Oh wow.
Like
Wow.
yeah. But it got to the point where I'm like, all right, well, it's not gonna play this anymore. Might as well sell it. And now I'm like, you dipshit, because I remember I came across like a new version of like they re-released GoldenEye and the control scheme's all different, and it just felt weird and not
Mhm.
right. And I was just like, this isn't GoldenEye.
Yeah, and people were pissed about it because it's almost like it was perfection already.
Right.
Yeah, so why mess with it? So yeah, that's very interesting. Well, I'll tell you this: don't look up how much it costs to rebuy it now, because like I
No,
said,
no.
it's
I got.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous, the retro stuff, and I don't throw away anything. So, but I
I've
still
got
won't sell it
enough.
anyway. But still, it's crazy.
I was almost tempted to just go on my my Discord with my Napa friends and just be like, "Hey, who wants this shit? It's taking
Wow.
up space in the garage." It's like I'm not gonna play them. Like I don't even know how I'd get the right adapters to get it to work on a modern TV. Like
That's
whatever.
true.
Someone
That's
out
true.
there will probably pay money for it, but whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I like playing the new Midnight Suns, Marvel's Midnight Suns
I
game.
heard good things about that. It's got like Wolverine and Blade and folks like that.
Yes, yeah.
Huh.
And, I saw an article today where it's like the only reason I looked at it because the article was like worst written games of 2022, and it was like Marvel Midnight Suns, and I was like,
Huh.
no, because the thing is like the core like gameplay is like you're doing tactical battles, right? So if
Mhm.
you're vaguely familiar with like the XCOM games, like you have to figure out who to attack, when to attack, all that sort of.
Like
But
Marvel
they got like
Alliance.
yeah, but it's like you have card draws, so like it's like a deck building game, and like it's
Huh.
really fun. It's really well done. And then outside of that, it's the like, oh, I'm gonna go and talk to so and so and try and up my friendship rating with them because I get bonuses and they get better. And then da da da. And like, there's all this other stuff, and there's like with most of those sort of like social friendship relationship games, there's a lot of dialogue. Oh my god. And it's not bad. It's actually well done. I actually am familiar with some of the voice actors. The funny
Oh.
thing is, like, once in a while, there's some really funny jokes. Not like someone tells a joke, but just a funny thing that happened.
Mhm.
But the most surprising thing is how annoyed I am with Peter Parker.
How so and why?
It's just like he's a little whiny. Not like this situation sucks, but just like oh Peter, can we get over your insecurities, please? Like with the younger characters, it's a
Yeah.
little bit more of like insecure, I'm upset. And it's like it's basically like they got like young 20-year-olds still trying to figure their shit out, and then the Avengers and the older characters that are a bit more just like bickering,
Hmm.
right? But like once in a while, I was like, Peter, come on, dude. But aside from that, I'm really enjoying the shit out of it.
It's
That's what's keeping me staying up way too late on the regular.
wow, but that's funny how the voice actor thing, how that's a very sensitive kind of thing. You know, it could really, you know, one is like different, maybe might be different than the voice you're used to the person. 'Cause like even with that Miles game, I was kind of wanting to hear the voice actor from the cartoon for the Into the Spider-Verse.
For the
And
movie.
so yeah, so
Yeah.
you're trying to listen and take in the current one that they have, you know, doing the voices and stuff. And then sometimes, like I said, sometimes voices just could get you a certain kind of way. So when you spend that much time with it, you do get very intimate with certain voices and sounds and, you know, their inflections and stuff. So either that could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on. So you know how important that must be to find the right voice that somebody could deal with for hours and hours on end.
The funny thing is, like, I'm familiar with two of the voice actors because they're on Critical Role, which is that D&D, the most popular streaming D&D show, and it's
Okay.
the lead guy who's the dungeon master plays the main character's voice,
Oh wow.
and then Laura, I can't remember her last name. She plays Magic. She's the mutant with the sword that does
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the portals and stuff.
Yeah, that's Colossus's sister.
Yes,
Yeah.
which I didn't realize, like, she alludes to her brother, and like the first time she name dropped him, she's like Pieter, and I didn't track it. Peter.
Oh, yeah.
But later it's like, you know, brother with iron skin. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
Peter Rasputin.
because the funny thing is, like, I remember Peter having a sister, but it was from the mutant virus storyline, and like his sister died.
Okay.
So that's all I remembered. I didn't realize that either that was a different continuity, or he also had another sister, and that was Magic. So, or Ileana. So anyway, now I'm enjoying it.
Might have to check that out.
And then my buddies are getting into fucking Warhammer.
Henry Cavill is throwing up that whole thing about since he got nixed from all these other, you know, movies and stuff and shows. He's bringing up a project where he's going to be part of, I guess, a Warhammer TV show or movie, but it's so far from being done or started that it's almost kind of like a Hail Mary to be like, hey, somebody still wants me more so than anything else.
Well, I think for him, like, it's also like a dream gig for him because he's a giant Warhammer 40K nerd.
Yeah.
Like, huge Warhammer 40K nerd, apparently. like it's been there was some small thing where it like came out in some small interview, and then people have just been latching on it ever since. Like, he got invited to the head offices for like Games Workshop, which puts out Warhammer. Like, huge nerd.
Yeah, he builds his own gaming computers and stuff like that too. He's really into that community. But I just thought the timing was kind of interesting since the whole thing with the Nola Holmes, you know, no longer doing that, no longer doing Witcher, no longer doing Superman.
Oh, he's out of Nola Holmes too?
Yeah, I think he's out of all those. I think he cut out all that stuff.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. Because like the one sort of tidbit that I picked up out of all of that was that his manager, when that whole thing blew up, and she's been his manager for a while.
Yeah, The Rock's wife, Garcia.
Is The Rock's ex-wife.
Her last name is Garcia. Yeah.
And apparently
Danny Garcia, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because she went to, I forget what was the thing that fell apart first.
The whole thing.
Oh well, yeah. Oh right, it was like the new
DC
Superman
Philip.
stuff. Like she said, we've got the deal for Superman, but none of it was in writing. None of it was in writing. And so then Henny was like, well, I'm doing Superman. I can't do The Witcher anymore. And then they're like, all right, well, sucks. Bye. We'll get someone else. And then it was like, oh God, James Gunn was like, yeah, we're going in a different direction, bud.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's nothing in writing that you were going to still be Superman.
But
Fuck.
but
And then he
that's
fired her.
but it was kind of crazy anyway. Did he fire her? That's no
Yeah.
longer his management?
From the article that I saw.
Okay. I just think it's very interesting that one, that shouldn't even be nothing public until anything is finalized. Regardless if you say we got it, you still don't say anything. The whole way that whole thing has been handled and how he kind of handles it and stuff, it's always been a little interesting, because even when that stuff was before all this mess went down and they was wondering about Superman, because all this stuff kind of stemmed from him not being in that teaser tag thing at the end of Shazam. He didn't want to do it. And I can't remember because he didn't want to do it because he wasn't going to get paid for it or something like that. But they had a stand in for him instead. And after that, they never really dealt with him like that anymore. And so it was kind of up in the air what was going to happen with him. And so he's doing these little videos and he's looking deadpan at the screen and lifting up a Superman toy and bringing it back. He's different. I don't know how he really...
I mean, he really seemed to love the role. I don't know
Yes,
how much of
yes.
it was
Yeah,
like
I'm
also
sure
just
he
like money.
does, but it's just I don't know. I think fans love him, and I think that studios and things and people in that world have issue with him. It seems like it's just really always kind of, I don't know. It seems interesting, yeah, because I always hear more. Because like he goes a lot of behind the scenes stuff. There's always some kind of thing with him, and it always seems like it's like a kind of a bumpy thing with him. But it seems like the fans always love him. He seems very personable and stuff. But when it comes with him and Hollywood and studios, it just seems very interesting. Because it's just interesting how you could go from having 3 jobs to none that quickly.
Oof. Yeah.
And just the way it was handled. Just even and nowadays you got people that's on, you have people that's several characters at one time. Like they could be 2 different superheroes on 2 different movies and franchises. Like you even had Sherlock Holmes as Iron Man, and Dr. Doolittle and whatever else. He just, people do different stuff. People be on different kind of things at the same time. Hugh Jackman was doing Wolverine, but he's also being, Captain Hook in that Peter Pan movie thing that failed. But like I said, people do different kind of things, and so it's just interesting. You had Chris Evans, that was Human Torch, and he was in this comic book movie called The Losers.
Oh, okay.
And that's based off a comic book, and then he's Captain America. So you got people who did different things, and it just seemed like nowadays it's almost acceptable to have somebody on multiple platforms, and you just kind of like act like you didn't see him on the other thing and pretend that's who they are for the moment. So it's just like, I don't know. People don't even announce jobs like that in real life, so it's just interesting that.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it was him jumping the gun and how much of it was him thinking it was a done deal.
Yeah.
And then he announced it, and then someone's like, "That was not a done deal." He's like, "What? You told me it was a so." But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. It's interesting to see.
Maybe they'll get him back as Superman.
Hey, we're going to stop this conversation here, but we're going to hit you back with another one soon.